Welcome to the Inspired Action Podcast. This is where we have motivational, inspiring conversations and interviews that we hope you'll enjoy listening to. If you're interested in creating more balance in your life, understanding your 5-element energetic nature, finding the path of greatest ease,
or releasing the baggage of this lifetime and discovering ancient alchemy that can help you fly in your life, join us and other inspired actioneers on this alchemical transformational journey.
Welcome back to the Inspired Action Podcast. My name is Jay. This is Pod 46, and I'm here with my co-host, as always, Lita Herman.
Hey, everyone. Today, we're circling back to the 5th palace of the 9 palaces. And if you've been with us now for a while and we've walked you through all the 9 palaces, you may have noticed that we skipped number 5. And Jay, do you want to tell them why?
Well, we like to think we saved the best for last. You could say we're almost finished with the 9 palaces, and for now we're in the home stretch.
Oh my God! Okay.
All right, that was a stretch.
That was a stretch. So the 5th palace is, you guessed it, the home palace. And it's the most important palace because it's the one we're all working towards. And when we complete the home palace, our work in this lifetime is essentially done.
Nice. Because then we go home with the capital H, right?
Yes. And so that is why we have to save this palace for last.
So why then is the number 5 not the number 9? Number 9 is completion, I think, or the 9 palaces, I think it is.
Yeah. So, well, it's complicated. It has to do with the magic square. Remember way back in the beginning, we talked to people about the magic square.
Yes, I remember like it was yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Anyway.
But it wasn't.
So halfway along the 9 palace journey.
It's in the middle spot.
Yeah. So in the magic square, there's 3 rows and 3 columns. And the one that's smack dab in the middle is the home palace. So it ends up being number 5. But remember that we used to talk about that game Parcheesi, and you talked about Trivial Pursuit, and we decided that maybe we're a little bit outdated there.
Yeah, I had to ask our assistant who's in his 20s what game younger people would know, and he said sorry. I think he meant sorry he doesn't play board games.
Yeah, right. No,
I'm not sure he actually knew there was a game called Sorry.
No, he meant the game Sorry. So I think
they're into video games right now.
Yeah, really.
You know.
What video game makes you go into the center to get home? I guess we got to figure that one out.
But sometimes I think back to the board games and the family sitting around the table, laughing, joking, kind of ribbing each other. And now everyone's sitting around the TV, maybe for a good game of like Grand Theft Auto or God of War, makes me want to scream and cry. Yes. Not the warm and fun feeling that we remember, but no judgment here.
I guess board games are a lost art.
Well, board games are boring.
Yes, they're bored.
Although I still like them occasionally.
Well, the whole point was in the old-fashioned board games, there was often the home. It was actually called home, and you tried to get into home, and that's what we're all doing. We're trying to get to the home palace.
Yes. That's cool. That's great. Well, before we start the home palace, we have a few things we want to talk about really, really, really quick. So you go, because you speak way faster than I do.
Okay, so we have a bit of app news here. We are going to use our app for the meditations only going forward. We if you've been relying on listening to our episodes,
please go back to the old school way. We had a lot of tech problems, and we had dozens of people saying that they couldn't get it to work. So we're going to simplify it. Go back to the way you listen. And if you listen to on iTunes, please go to iTunes. If you listen on Google, go on Google, Stitcher, TuneIn, whatever your favorite way to do it is.
And the really good news is that is going to help us tremendously because iTunes and Google, they count statistics. And if you all are listening through the app, guess what? It doesn't count.
And you know what? I looked at our stats today, and we're in the the hot and new featured on iTunes. Woohoo!
This is a huge, big deal, everyone.
So it's thank you.
It's in the category called What's Hot. And so Inspired Action is now hot, according to...
But the sad news is the algorithm changes every hour.
Yeah, right. Well, for the last hour, we've been hot.
Yes, we're hot. So keep listening, keep doing the rating, review, downloading, all the things that you're doing. If you already have, thank you very much. If you haven't, take a second and do it right now. That'd be great.
And we, everyone knows we have a Facebook group. If you haven't joined us there yet, please do. We would love to continue these conversations online if you're interested. And if you ask us a question, you can write us at questions@inspiredactionpodcast.com or ask us in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
And if we use your question on air, which we're going to do some the next several podcasts, we will send you a free t-shirt.
Actually, I'm wearing one right now, but you can't have this one.
Yeah.
We'll send you a new one.
I think they want a new one.
Yeah, you think
probably,
so? Yeah. Mine's kind of smelly today. Okay. All right. So that's cool. That's all we have to say. Let's go home, sweet home, to the home palace, which is the only earth element palace from the 5 elements.
Yeah. All the other elements have 2 palaces, but this is such an important palace. It's just given to the earth element. And the most important palace is, of course, the earth palace. So all the Earths out there can think about how important they are to the world, that they got the most important palace.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like the center of the universe, right? All the Earths are going to love that. So why do you, Lita, think it's the most important?
Well, you said it. Earths are always at the center of everything in their lives.
In a good way.
In a good way. They are the center of the universe. They are the center of their families, their communities, even their workplace. They help everyone around them feel like they belong and like they're at home where they are.
That's the Earth way. And they're also the center of that magic square, like you just talked about. But, I like to always think of them more like the glue that holds all those things together.
Yeah, I like to say, and they really like this too, I like to say that they hold space for people.
That's good.
It's not like a literal building or a room. It's like they create space for people, and they literally, hold that space for the interactions that occur between people. And they're constantly creating events that people can share together and just ways
it's
to
all
communicate.
about the sharing. Sharing is caring.
Yes, sharing's caring.
It's so great that we're recording this podcast today, because for our Master Alchemy program, which we're right in just about the middle of, it's a year-long program. We have a challenge every week, and this week's challenge was to take on a different 5 element. And guess what I got this week?
Earth.
I took on my inner Earth.
How's that going?
Very good. This is me being Earth. I'd like to talk about our emotions right now. How are you feeling about the podcast so far?
You're not wearing a poncho.
No, I'm not wearing a poncho. See, Lita said that. Make it for the note, Earth people. Lita said that. I didn't even mention the poncho.
I hear regularly from Earth people who hate ponchos, but
they don't hate anything. And
they don't.
They secretly love their ponchos. I told you, it's not if, it's for how many.
It's how many. Well, the ones who say that they don't wear ponchos, they have clothes that are not technically a poncho.
Very close.
But, they are close.
And don't even get me started on the fringe.
Well, I, for one, am channeling my wood this week. So I have to get
how's that going for you?
On. It's challenging. Wood is 5th for me.
Yeah.
So, but a wood person would not admit that. They would be like, yeah, I'm doing it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I need to work on it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll go back to my wood for the rest of this podcast.
Well, I am having fun with. Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
I'll go back to my fire. How's that?
Yeah. So let's go.
I am having a lot of fun with wood, though.
Yeah.
It is a lot of fun.
I would. Okay. So I am going back to my wood. So Earth gets 1 palace,
but in truth, Earth gets all the palaces.
Let's talk about this for a minute. I'm not quite. I get that. I think I get a little bit, but they get all of them?
Well, if you start with fire, you can't really say that fire has a lock on relationships, because Earth does too. They're all about their relationships. And in the same vein, metal doesn't have a lock on the children. Just try to stand in between an Earth mama bear and her babies.
Yeah, it's true. Not to mention, Earth and their health routines, they're right up there with wood.
Yeah, sorry, Woods, but, big time. Just look at an Earth person's bathroom cabinet. Oh, my God. I'll bet they might have the record on, products, and in their kitchen, it's supplements and vitamins. They love to eat and take care of themselves and those around.
Is it just about the physical home, the spiritual home? When we say the capital H, let's talk about that a little bit.
Yes, it's all about belonging. We all need to have a place to call home and feel like we can belong there.
How about calling it the sanctuary, a safe place to be your authentic self?
That's it. If you don't have a place where you can hang out in your pajamas with your peeps, then you don't really have a home.
Yeah, good point. We all need that jammy day and a comfortable place to be safe and welcoming, and that's the physical home.
And just think about how many Earths create a feeling of home. Even at their office, they're the ones trying to decorate for a special day or a holiday or create a space maybe in the kitchen to hang out. It's more inviting for everyone.
Sure. They really are usually the ones who make it feel welcoming and inviting. Not always, but pretty much usually.
And the home palace is the palace of hospitality. So Earth love to host their guests. They want to be in places where people want to come to visit, where it feels good.
See, this is why this is all really good. This is why we save this the best for last. The home palace, that it's really number 5, but we have it today as the last one. You know, the whole point of this podcast is how to achieve your own authenticity. So really the home palace is bigger than the physical home we just talked about. It's where yes, you can hang out in your PJs, but it's also about your home, your spiritual home, that place inside of you that is the stillness.
Yes, it's that home inside yourself. And now we're getting to the real crux of this palace, which isn't really about your physical home. We think it's about our house and how we decorate it and who lives with us and the peace we find at home. But
again,
it's really about a much bigger sense of home, which is why we say home with a capital H.
Yeah, it's like when you point out that the earth element Chinese character is a different character than the physical earth, but ultimately home is our actual earth, right? All of us have a home here on earth, and that's why we call it what? Mother Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, because often wherever our mother lives feels like our own true home. Is that kind of like accurate?
It's so true. And at the same time, where did we come from before we were born? We came from our mommy's tummy.
That's technical term, right?
Yeah, right.
Chinese medical chalk, yeah. Mommy's tummy.
Yeah, but before that, wherever we came from is also our home. And maybe we're really just travelers from that place to this earth. And this lifetime, this place on earth is just a trip. And when we die, we get to go back to the real home.
Yeah, you always talk about, what the Chinese believe, that when we exit into life and enter into death, which really means we get to go back home when we die.
Yes. So cool, right?
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. So this physical earth, or our physical home, feels like home, but there is a spiritual home, and that's the true meaning and essence of this palace. So here is the fundamental question to ask yourself.
Drum roll here. Did you do it?
Okay. My bad drum roll sound.
That wasn't too bad today. That's pretty good. So, all right, go with your question.
Okay. Can you elevate home to a spiritual level? Can you feel like you have an umbilical cord attached to the divine? You might call it God, Mother Mary, I like to use the word divine, whatever name you use for it. Are you attached to something greater than just the people around you?
Wait, that was like 3 or 4 questions. That wasn't just one question.
Yes, sorry. But, it's important for you to ponder, I guess, more than one question about it.
Those are all really, really good points. So many of us are focused on our physical mothers, the ones that gave birth to us, or at least the ones that raised us, if our birth mothers did not raise us. But you're saying it's not really about your actual mother, right?
Right. Actually, the way I think of it is your physical mother is only a surrogate for this other kind of mother, which is really the divine mother. Whatever your word for that is again.
It's like the umbilical cord to your mother was kind of like a fake out, or more like a cosmic cord to the divine mother. That was my take on that.
Yeah. So in utero, as a fetus, you had everything. It was like, wow, your mother was your connection to the divine. And you thought that was like the ultimate. But then you were born and they cut that cord and you bawled and cried.
Of course you did. You cried like a baby. And you know what? If you didn't cry, guess what?
What?
They'd slap you until you cried out.
Yeah, right. I wonder if that is why they really do slap the babies.
Yeah, man. I don't want. We need to ask somebody about that. And what about like C-sections? Do they still slap those babies?
Yeah, I think so. I guess they want them
I think
to cry.
based on what you said, I would think so. Maybe, more. It's like, here's a sneak attack. 1 minute they're in the uterus in heaven, just sitting there chillaxing, maybe taking a nap. The next thing, what the heck? Ripped and yanked from the connection of the universe. And then they're like, what? And then smacked. That's an awakening.
Yes, there you go. That's an awakening.
That's an awakening.
There you go. Maybe not such a bad thing. I do think that the functional reason they do it is to make you breathe. But
breathe air.
Right, breathe air. Yeah, but really it's about awakening.
I like the cosmic umbilical cord.
Yes. So what may have taken you your entire life to figure out is you have another connection to the divine, which is not the physical cord. It's that cosmic, I love it, cosmic umbilical cord to the divine.
All right. Whoa, that's it. That's it for the podcast. That's all you need to know. You can just stop listening right there.
I got more.
All right. I was just kidding. But this could be good news for those people who have been grieving the loss of their mothers, right? Or worse, had a really mean or abusive mother when they were growing up. Because guess what? They don't have to focus on that relationship. They can stop focusing on that. They can start to focus on their connection to the divine.
Exactly. That's my whole point. Hopefully people can see this. It's really tough for a lot of people. It's truly every human being's divine right on this planet in this lifetime to be attached to a mother in the beginning as that surrogate for the divine. Mothers help us develop a sense of safety, belonging, welcoming. And if that was ripped from you or it didn't go well or was toxic, that's a possible major home palace issue for the rest of your life.
Possible, more likely it is what's going to happen. All right, we'll go with possible because maybe someone escaped that if it was traumatic or not really cool.
Right.
It does make a lot of sense. So many people that I work with do have mother issues, as someone like Freud would say, blame it on the mother. And those people who really struggle with a sense of belonging or safety. Oh, wait a minute, I'm having a light bulb moment here, wow, it does kind of make sense.
Yeah. Or even something as simple as your mother having extreme anxiety, it might be great. You grew up with your mom. She was a wonderful person, but she had extreme anxiety. And if she doesn't feel safe in the world, how is she going to help you feel safe in the world? She's not going to give you what mothers do for most children, which is teach them what they need to do to feel confident that they'll be okay. And that's what mothers do. Or successful mothering anyway.
No judgment. But I did realize when you were talking how much of this home palace is about your relationship with your mother.
Yes, it totally is. But don't worry, listeners that have bad mother or absent mother experiences. There's some good news in this. I know,
it's kind of
story.
A bummer. We were kind of talking But please tell us now. There might still be one person hanging on here.
Yes, there's
that
still
aren't,
some good
crying
news
from their bad mother experiences.
Okay, here it is. The people who didn't get a good start in life because their moms were either absent or toxic, they often get the fast track to their home palace.
Yay.
Because they're so lacking in a sense of home. They prioritize the home palace, and many find their ways faster than the rest of us.
So it is like having the best mom, the divine mom. That is what people need to look at. Sometimes it kind of lulls us into not needing to maybe find the home within us. This is maybe like the really deep stuff here.
Exactly. The surrogate for the divine, your physical mom, if she's really great, it's wonderful, but you become dependent on her. And as long as she's still alive, you just go on thinking that she's the source of everything good and safe in you. So you're not actually striving to get to the real home palace, theoretically. It's starting
to make some sense because I often see people totally lose it when their mom's dying. Yet they're like totally grown up, like their 50s or 60s. They're like reduced to childlike feelings of abandonment when their moms die and they're elderly. It's understandable. I'm getting that. Attachment is some very strong, deep, 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 and maybe other, like you said, the divine. I'm getting it. Okay.
Yeah. So, they were blessed to have this awesome mom, but then they became so reliant on that mom, they didn't develop their own inner strength and connection.
Now they have to do it on the inside of themselves. And, people who never had good moms, on like the other hand, they could maybe, like you said, have that bypass and maybe go straight to the spiritual home.
Yeah, they don't pass go and they do not collect $200.
Hey, that's a wrong game. That's Monopoly.
Okay, another board game.
It doesn't even have a home in it. It doesn't even have a home in the center.
And it's another board game. Who plays Monopoly anymore?
I don't know. We'll ask our assistant again.
We're totally dating ourselves.
I know. I don't think they make that game anymore.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they still.
Is there an app for it?
Yeah, there should
be. Is there an app for that?
Is there an app for that?
Wow. So the spiritual home is the one that matters. If obviously that's why we're so into the 9 palaces, the 5 elements, all that. Yeah. So the spiritual home that it matters, not necessarily the one your mom created for you while you were in the womb.
Yeah. So that's why if you are struggling with this palace.
A lot of ahs here for me today.
Yeah. So I do this treatment for people struggling with this palace, and it's called the heart pains treatment. I've also renamed it the loving yourself treatment. So many people need some help with their connection with home.
Yeah, it's a great treatment. Why don't you take a few minutes here and talk about it a little bit? Because I really think the more people that can hear the way you talk about it and explain and be like, they will have an moment.
Yeah. So the treatment starts with this point in your armpit, the first point on the heart channel, and it helps you reconnect. It's called Utmost Source.
Nice.
And it's a beautiful name. And it helps you reconnect an invisible umbilical cord with Source, which is what I call the divine.
The cosmic umbilical cord.
Yes. And so when you were a fetus, you couldn't even have a thought of wanting something. If you were hungry, you were fed. You couldn't even be cold because you were in your mother's belly. And on a spiritual level, you can't feel cold and hungry and alone when your umbilical cord is reconnected to the divine. You're basically in the lap of God.
Wow, that just sounds peaceful, beautiful,
Yes,
wonderful.
yes. And there you do feel at peace. And when you have that, you've completed the 9 palaces. You can no longer have heart pains because you've got everything you want.
If you get to home, check, you're done, you're in the lap of God. You don't even have to finish the other ones, right?
Yeah. And no more heart pain.
You could shortcut right to it.
Yep.
Boom.
Yep.
Wow. So if you don't do the shortcut version,
Yeah, the
if you're,
shortcut. The chutes and ladders?
the shoots, just lots of games here, right? Just,
Oh, boy.
it's the game of
Please.
life.
I don't think anybody. Yeah, right. There you go.
Okay, so how long would it take a human being who's playing the game of life to
Yes.
figure this all out to get to their home palace? What's the time frame? What is there? Is there a line?
There really is no timeline. A child could get there as well as an elderly person. Really, we all carry a piece of the divine within us. We borrow that piece when we're born, and it's what gives us the miracle of life. It's what allows us to become animated, and the Chinese call that your spirit. And this spirit is what connects us to the divine. So in truth, we're never really disconnected. Life is just about realizing the fact that we're connected. And heart pain is thinking we're separate, that we're not connected.
Wow. We feel so separate. You see it all over. And when you're connected, that's really beautiful. So, if you're feeling alone, you might feel that disconnect from the heart pain at some point in your life.
It's the human condition. Really, this is about getting to the real truth. We are part of the wholeness. And the treatment we mentioned, the heart pains treatment, it brings a person back to the wholeness from that feeling of aloneness and separateness.
Yeah. So why do we even bother coming here to be born? Why not just stay in the wholeness?
That's the perfect cosmic question. So the Chinese Taoists would say that we are curious and we want to explore, and being in the wholeness, it's kind of boring because we can't have any experiences or challenges there. So if we were to put a really positive spin on the 9 palaces, we would say they're awesome. And the whole reason for living is to experience the 9 palaces, which we could say are the 9 challenges.
I like that. That's so woody of you to come up with that.
See, I told you this is my wood challenge week.
Woods love a good challenge.
So the 9 palaces teach us, and that's why the Taoists believe we come to this life to learn. And that's why they say we come with our own personal curriculum. It's what we're trying to learn in this lifetime.
And that little bit of the divine in us is arranging for these challenges of the 9 palaces to happen so we can, guess what, learn from those lessons and have those experiences.
Perfect. And once you've learned your lessons, then you get to go home.
With a capital H.
Yeah. So you've achieved the Tao and become a realized human being like Lao Tzu, who wrote the Tao Te Ching. You remember way back in the beginning of the podcast, we talked about becoming a realized human being.
The Jen Ren.
Yeah, the Jen Ren. And Lao Tzu is one of them. There are many of them. Our spirit created all these conflicts or contrasts. We talked about how Esther Hicks channels Abraham, and she talks about how good contrast is, meaning the crappy stuff we don't like in our life is good because it allows us to get a chance to achieve the Tao.
Yeah. So if you get sick, you might become more compassionate for others that are sick and have a greater benevolence. Another wood thing that would then help with the illness, and then that would help with prosperity, maybe.
Yes. So,
for example, that was a good example.
Yeah. So through your health issue, now you've achieved the prosperity palace,
Yeah. So
and
you
you're closer to getting home. Yeah, you get 2 for the price of 1. Okay, so home is where the heart is. That phrase is very literal. Your way back to home is through your heart.
Yeah. Fire is the element of the heart. If you're having a heart issue, it's going to be very hard to go home.
Yes, because that's why Earth is really all the palaces.
I get that now.
Yeah, you have to talk to people. You have to ask about their kids. Your heart needs to connect. You know, it's your spirit living in your heart that is doing this living part, and having an open heart is the only way to connect with the divine.
Yeah, that is right there. That is the message of this podcast for sure. So you know what? Let's talk about a little homework for this palace.
Great. So we always
Which could take a lifetime.
We always say, very Woody, ask yourself better questions.
Yes, ask yourself better questions regarding the home palace. So in your journal, you can work on, do you have a sense of belonging to community in your life?
Yes. So, you know, we all know what it feels like when we don't belong. And hopefully we also know what it feels like when we belong.
Yeah. So do you have a sense of belonging to community in your life?
Yes.
Do you feel hospitable? And do other people want to be guests in your physical home?
Yes. And do you long for a feeling of home because you're lacking a home, and you don't have a sense of belonging because you don't have a home?
Yeah. Do you feel peace in your own home? If you can't find peace in your own home, you certainly can't connect with a bigger home with a capital H. A lot of people feel more at home driving around in their car than in their physical home.
Yeah, sometimes your home is so, I don't know, like the people in it aren't good for you.
It could be toxic.
Yeah, and so
The
driving
house
around
itself could be toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then driving around your car feels better than being at home.
So think about it. Where's your sanctuary? Where's your home sanctuary? Do you have a home, a box, a square, a car? Where do you find that peace?
Yeah, is your home just a box? I like that. You know, or is it a real home?
Yeah.
So describe what your ideal sense of home would be in your life, and examine that physical home you're living in to see if it matches. And, you know, this is really a metaphor for your spiritual home. So if you can't feel a sense of belonging in your own home, then you're going to have some difficulty in your spiritual home.
Yeah, it could be a challenge. Also, if you're shut off from your home, what can you do to make connections? Like maybe, spend more time there, get a plant, take care of it, play classical music, maybe put some stones, some gemstones, stone medicine around it. Make your plant happy. Start there. Then maybe graduate to a cat or a dog, take care of them, see how they grow, how they prosper. You're not the only person on the planet. You've got to think about the anti-social media, as you know, I like to call it, and you're not connecting with humans. So start with a plant, get a dog or a cat, then work up to humans. You need to connect with people. It's like what you said, that beautiful connection with the divine.
Yeah, it's like, these days you maybe on the way to work, you walk into the coffee shop and
it's quiet.
Nobody's talking.
I know. It used to be a social hub.
Yeah.
Now it's a social media hub. Yeah,
right.
There you go. Right?
There you go. It's a social media hub.
It is crazy. Like how quiet some of these places, like on a mass transit and different things. It's like
we're not social anymore.
No,
like in the physical. Yeah.
Is just like dying as fast as we could talk about it.
And you know what's great about walking a dog?
Social.
It becomes social. People come up and say, "Oh, what kind of dog is that?" And we actually have conversations. So, the other thing I just wanted to say is alchemy can feel like a lonely path. And yet, through this podcast, we're creating a tribe of alchemists. So what we're doing is creating a community. So we are helping us all kind of find a way to feel a sense of belonging so that we aren't alone. And
it's the home palace, a state of mind and state of heart.
It's a state of spirit.
State of spirit.
Yeah.
So try to reconnect with your own home with a capital H.
Yes. All right.
It's a great place to end. Thank you for listening.
And thank you for being a part of our alchemical path.
Guess what? It's time to go home.
Ah, great.
You've been listening to the Inspired Action Podcast, and you've reached the end. Woohoo! Why not celebrate a little bit and click that subscribe button right there? We love having you with us on this journey, and we want it to continue.
You can also rate and review this podcast. And if you have already, thank you so much. We read all reviews, and your reviews help other people find this podcast as well. You can also be a part of this podcast yourself by submitting a voice recording message and emailing it to us at Lita@inspiredactionpodcast.com or Jay@inspiredactionpodcast.com.
And if you want, you can join our Facebook group or follow us on Instagram.
Join us next week for another Inspired Action conversation. And thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, and remember to hug the dog.